Bienvenidos. Hoy te mostraremos una técnica novedosa para aprender inglés que te sorprenderá por sus resultados. Si te gusta lo que ves, no olvides suscribirte, dar like y compartir tu opinión en los comentarios. Empecemos.
The bee and the stubborn beetle. You are in a garden full of colors. Flowers of all sizes and shapes are spread out around you. The air smells of sweet nectar and the sun gently caresses the leaves. It is a place where life is felt in every corner. A little bee flies from flower to flower. She is a hard worker, always busy. Her name is Mel. Mel is the fastest in her hive, always looking for the best pollen to make honey. She knows how important her work is. Every drop of honey she produces feeds her family. She is proud of what she does. One day, while Mel was collecting nectar, she saw something strange. A big, black beetle was pushing a little ball of mud. But it wasn't just any little ball, it was a huge ball, almost the size of the beetle itself. He was grunting and snorting, but he didn't stop. His name was Tor. Mel came over and said kindly, "Hello, Tor. Why are you pushing that big ball? It seems very heavy." Tor, still pushing, replied, "This is my ball. I made it. And I'm going to carry it where I want. No one tells me what to do." Mel looked at the ball. It was covered in mud and didn't seem to have much value. "Are you sure you need to carry it?" Mel asked curiously. Tor paused for a moment and looked at Mel with disdain. "I don't care if it's heavy or useless. It's mine. And no one will tell me to leave it." Mel thought for a moment. Then, softly, he said, "I understand. But aren't you tired of pushing something that doesn't bring you happiness? I collect nectar because I love making honey. My work makes me happy and helps others." Tor snorted. "Happiness, bah. I don't need happiness. I just need my ball. And enough with the lectures." Mel smiled. He knew he couldn't change the stubborn beetle's mind. So he decided to continue his work. As he walked away, Mel looked back and saw Tor still struggling with his ball. But as he pushed, the ball got stuck between two large stones. Tor tried again and again to move it, but he couldn't. He grunted, pushed, and got angry, but the ball wouldn't budge. Mel watched him from a distance, sadly. She knew Tor could ask for help, but he was too stubborn to do so. What would you do if you were in Tor's place? Would you keep pushing the ball, or would you find another way to be happy? Tor kept trying to move his ball, but nothing changed. The sun was beginning to set, and the shadow of the stones was lengthening over him. The beetle was tired, but his pride was stronger than his tiredness. Meanwhile, Mel continued to collect nectar, enjoying the soft buzz of his wings and the sweet scent of the flowers. But in his mind, he couldn't stop thinking about Tor, stuck with his ball. Finally, he decided to go back to see if he could help. Upon arriving, Mel found Tor panting, his gaze fixed on the stuck ball. He gently approached him and said, "Tor, I know you're strong and you appreciate what you've done. But sometimes, asking for help doesn't mean being weak. Maybe, if we work together, we could find a solution. Tor, still angry, was silent for a moment. His paws were tired, and deep down, he knew that no matter how hard he pushed, the ball wouldn't move. But the idea of asking for help was new to him. How could he accept help from a simple bee? "And what would you gain by helping me?" he finally asked, his tone a mixture of curiosity and defiance. Mel smiled, soft and warm. "Sometimes, helping others helps us ourselves too. I don't do it for the sake of gaining something. I do it because I know we all need a helping hand from time to time." Tor, his stubbornness weakened by exhaustion, sighed. "Okay, B. Maybe together we can move this damn ball." Mel flew around the ball, examining the stones. "Let's see, Tor. If you push from that side and I lift a little from here, maybe we can free it." The two of them worked as a team, pushing, lifting, and moving the ball. After several attempts, the ball finally broke free from the stones, rolling smoothly down the path. Tor stared at his now free ball. But, something inside him had changed. He felt a strange mix of relief and confusion. "Thank you, Mel," he murmured, though his words were new and somewhat uncomfortable for him. Mel, with a smile, simply replied, "You're welcome, Tor. Sometimes, all we need is a little help and a change of perspective." Tor, looking down at his ball, realized something important. He had spent so much time focused on his endeavor, that he had forgotten to enjoy the garden, the sunshine, the present. "Maybe I don't need to carry this ball so far after all," he said quietly. Mel looked at him tenderly. "There's always time to change paths, Tor. This garden has so much more to offer than a ball of mud." Tor nodded slowly, leaving his ball behind as he walked alongside Mel, observing the garden with new eyes. But in this world, the story doesn't end. Because now, dear reader, it's your turn to decide what Mel and Tor will do next. The garden continues to bloom, and every corner hides new adventures. Which path will they take? What will they discover together? Mel and Tor walked together through the garden, a place that suddenly seemed vaster and full of possibilities. The beetle, who had previously seen only the importance of his ball, now allowed himself to observe everything around him: the bright colors of the flowers, the soft murmur of the wind through the leaves, and the hum of the bees working diligently. As they moved forward, Mel noticed something. "Look over there, Tor," he said, pointing to a small pond surrounded by tall reeds. "That spot looks peaceful. Maybe we can rest a bit." Tor, who was still getting used to the idea of not always pushing his ball, nodded. They approached the pond, and upon reaching it, Mel perched on a large leaf floating on the water, while Tor settled himself on a nearby rock. "You know, Mel," Tor began after a moment of silence, "I always thought my worth was in what I did, in that ball I was pushing. But now, being here, I wonder if there's more to life than just mindlessly following a path. Mel looked at him with understanding. Life is much more than just a task, Tor. It's about discovering, enjoying, sharing. It's not bad to be dedicated, but it's also important to remember that there's more than one way to find satisfaction. Tor reflected on Mel's words, feeling something deep stir within him. But just as he was about to say something, a small frog jumped out of the reeds, landing near them. "Hello," said the frog with a friendly smile. "Not many visitors usually come to this pond. What brings you here?" Mel briefly explained her story, how she had met Tor and how together they had decided to explore the garden. The frog listened attentively and then nodded enthusiastically. "What an interesting story," exclaimed the frog. "This garden is large and full of surprises. Did you know that there is an area of the garden where flowers grow that only open at night, under the moonlight? It is a beautiful sight, but few have seen it." Tor's eyes lit up. "I've never seen such flowers. I always thought that night was just for resting after a long day at work." "That's because you were always busy with your ball, Tor," said Mel softly. "But maybe it's time to see the garden in a new light. How about we go together tonight?" suggested the frog. "I can show you the way." Mel and Tor looked at each other, and a new spark of curiosity flashed in the beetle's eyes. "I would very much like to see those flowers," he said finally. So the three of them, the bee, the beetle, and the frog, decided to wait for nightfall together. They talked about their lives, shared stories, and laughed. Tor was surprised at how good it felt without the need to push his ball around, and Mel was happy to have helped his new friend discover something beyond his old routine. When night finally fell, the frog led the way to the darkest, quietest part of the garden. The sky filled with stars, and amidst that darkness, the night flowers began to appear, slowly opening under the soft moonlight. It was a sight of quiet beauty, and Tor was speechless, watching the flowers glow with a soft, almost magical glow. But this is where the story needs you again, dear reader. Because even though Tor, Mel, and the frog have discovered something new, the garden is vast, and there are many more adventures ahead. What other wonders are hidden in the corners they haven't yet explored? What new friends might they meet? The story is still open, waiting for you to decide what happens next. What will you do?
Y con eso terminamos. Si te gustó este vídeo, asegúrate de suscribirte al canal. Además, te invitamos a ver el siguiente vídeo que te dejamos por aquí, para seguir mejorando tu nivel de inglés a base de práctica y repetición. Nos vemos allí.